It's Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. This is a video diary about the Capital in the Capital project.
I'm Sherry Ott, and for nearly 20 years I've been living a very unconventional life. I'm one of the first travel bloggers who traveled all over the world seeking new adventures that set me apart from everyone else, including this latest project. But that hasn't always been the case. So how did I get here? I grew up near Peoria, Illinois, living a typical Midwestern life. So in 1984, when my father decided to pursue an unusual personal quest, I was mortified. After all, as a teenager, no one wants the quote-unquote weird parents. He was 47 and his mission was to visit all of the capitals of the lower 48 states, plus DC, on foot, following a counterclockwise roadmap of his own making. My mother would act as his logistics person and provide support while he walked. I remember this map in our home. This was the way that my dad would kind of monitor how far along he was on his quest. I mean, this was all before Google, before we had anything like really cool visually to be able to do this stuff. It's in such disrepair that I'm actually destructing it a little bit first so that we can start over, hopefully. So what was this project for you?
A lark.
He had one before this that he was going to drive every road in Nebraska.
Every highway.
So we would go drive and then he'd come home and he'd mark it all off on his map where he'd been. So it was kind of like this, only a bigger scale.
You like big journeys, don't you, Dad?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I like big projects.
By age 72, he trekked to 23 capitals, walking approximately 4,000 miles, while my mother followed along, dropping him off, picking him up, getting hotels, and bringing him food. I had no idea what motivated my head-down Midwestern engineer father to embark on such an unorthodox journey. Like most teenagers, I couldn't relate to him at all, and I felt like we had nothing in common. Or did we? I think as much as I hated it, and I hated it, I still was always kind of intrigued with it.
I just thought it was another adventure, which he was always planning adventures, and I can see where Sherry got it.
You think so?
Yes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, the thing she hated most, she ended up doing.
Ironically, I grew up and undertook my own quest. In 2006, I quit my IT job at age 36 to travel the world for what was supposed to be 1 year. And once I kind of knocked off all those bucket list items that everyone wants to go to, Paris, London, I became really intrigued with kind of the more unique places to go and the unique ways to travel. And I found that I was constantly trying to find ways to stand out. One of the things that I did was walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain. What it did also at that moment was make me realize, holy shit, I'm walking across Spain. That's where I started, I think, to realize for the first time that I am very much like my father. I never returned to my corporate life and continued to travel for the next 17 years as a travel blogger, embracing, addicted to the idea of always doing something different. After 11 of those years living a nomadic lifestyle without a home, I decided to get a home base again in Denver. I continued to travel primarily via press trips, which were great, but the downside was that I lost the big journey aspect of travel that got me into it in the first place. Then the pandemic hit, and it forced me to be still in my home in Denver. While I was unable to travel, I took up biking as a way to get out and explore Denver and its surroundings. It scratched my travel itch.
It's Saturday morning, what does that mean? Bike ride time! Bike ride time.
I loved biking and spent every day I could exploring on the trails.
I just finished another 39 mile ride, and I gotta say, I am so thankful. If there was anything to be thankful for in this COVID stuff, so thankful, because me being home has got me probably in the best shape I've been in 3 years.
I also thought a lot about my father's capital journey. which I realized at 85 years old he wouldn't be able to complete. As an adult who had traveled the world seeking out unique journeys, I now had a renewed appreciation for what he set out to do. I was never that interested in walking from capital to capital, but once I found biking, I thought, that sounds much faster and more fun. And all of a sudden, biking from capital to capital and finishing this became my new big project. Of course, I have a lot of concerns about this project. My father still has 26 capital routes left that total approximately 8,000 miles. That's a lot of pedaling for a new biker, and it goes over some pretty major mountain passes. You really ignored all of this over here.
Well, that was far from where we lived.
Yeah. Can I do it? I don't know. I mean, I've sort of trained for a little bit of this. There's a part of me that worries that I'm gonna do this and be so freaked out by the traffic, the cars, the near-death experiences, whatever, that I won't be able to finish it. And that is a possibility. I don't want to admit that, but it's a possibility. There's another aspect to this that has me extremely, I don't know if it's fearful, but stressed is probably the better word on this one. And that is, my dad had my mom to do all the logistics. And I don't. Fears aside, I have a vision of what this could be, and I have a lot of big ideas. But I won't know if I can do them until I get this initial trip underway.